Hello, friends. It's time for Talk for Dodge, the show that uncovers the stories behind the houses in the heart of our community. I'm Jeremiahjcondon.
And I'm Todd McCubbin. Today we are here with two people from IowaWORKS who we'll introduce in just a minute. But before we do that, let's do a quick market update.
Market update. Today I decided we'd just do some Iowa facts.
Let's do it.
And so affordability. You know, we've talked about this quite a bit, but the average house sold in the United States right now is $418,000. In Iowa, it's $226,000.
A $418,000 house in Fort Dodge is pretty doggone nice.
That's a nice one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we even break it down even more, Fort Dodge, the last I looked, our average house sale was $160,000.
Wow.
So it's affordable.
Over the last year.
Yeah, we've talked about, actually I was in a meeting the other day, they talked about, tell your kids to move to Fort Dodge because it's cheap living.
Yeah.
It's inexpensive, and a nice house doesn't cost that much money here.
Yeah. And then you have the number of homes for sale has increased 21% year to year. And competitive demand. Houses in Iowa have now 52 days on the market. Here in Fort Dodge, it's 60.
Okay.
We have a balanced market. Mortgage rates. A 30-year mortgage is currently 6.83%, and that ranks number 2 in the nation for affordability.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it really is affordable housing.
Yeah, so we're lower price and it's more affordable. And then fun Iowa facts. We have more hogs than people in the state of Iowa.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because all the barbecues.
That's right.
We all know this, but we lead the country in corn. I've read a whole thing about the Corn Belt, and the Corn Belt produces like 85% of the world's corn, and Iowa produces the majority of that.
That's crazy.
In the Corn Belt. Yep. That's crazy. John Wayne was born in Winterset. 1912, an Iowan found the machine to slice bread so that we could have it evenly for toasters.
So Iowa invented toast or sliced bread.
Yeah, sliced bread. Yep. And one for all of us to be proud of is Iowa has the highest literacy rate in the United States. And it's at like 99%.
Yeah, we do a good job. We've had Josh Porter on and St. Ed, and they both do a great job in our school system here.
Yep. And then to brag about Iowa State, I don't know if there's something to brag about, but it said Iowa State University had a hand in developing the atomic bomb.
I did know that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go Cyclones.
And cool movies. Twister, Field of Dreams, Children of the Corn, and Bridges of Madison County were all filmed in Iowa.
Those are all great movies, too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
They all got cornfields in them.
Awesome.
And flying cows.
Flying cows, yes.
I showed a house the other day to a couple that have never lived outside of town, and it was those new builds in Gowrie. And they're looking at the one house, it backs up to a cornfield. The corn's only about this tall. They're like, we're going to have to put a fence up because I'm just going to dream about children coming out of the corn all the time. I suppose it could happen, but I doubt it's going to.
Yeah. You know, I was at a musical thing, and one of the girls that was performing was from New York, and she's actually from Vietnam, but then went to New York, and so they had connections to Fort Dodge, and they brought her here and had this beautiful music. But she said on the drive from Des Moines Airport when he picked her up and brought her in there, he's like, "Where are you taking me?" And it was at like 10 o'clock at night when they picked her up at the airport. So it's like all night, and she's like, "I have never seen pitch dark just like that." Wow. And he was just taking me out to the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
I was kind of getting scared.
I had a fun time with a guy I brought home on leave when I was in the Army back in the early 90s. And he was from New York, and he'd never seen a cow, never seen a pig.
Yep.
And he's like, what is this?
What's going on here?
So. What is going on?
So IowaWORKS, can you guys introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about IowaWORKS?
Well, I'm Chris Weiland. I'm a career planner out at IowaWORKS. I also do the H2A inspections for foreign labor that comes into the state.
Okay.
Just been there just about 2 years now. So
nice.
And I'm George Koslowski. I'm the veteran career planner. And I've been there about 2.5 years, and all I do is work with veterans that are either in the community or coming into the community and help them find employment or education, anything that they need, help them along that route.
That's cool. Well, it is cool. 3 of us are veterans here, so you're the oddball out today.
I'm the oddball out.
Yeah. When we interviewed Master Sergeant Kindler, he kept asking questions about what's that mean? What's that mean? What's that mean? So,
Yeah.
and speaking of what's that mean, what is the H2A program? I know what it is, but can you explain
H2A
it?
is basically where employers can, they have to advertise within the United States for farm help, and they'll advertise outside the country, and people from like basically any country can come here and get a job, and then the employer has to put them up in certain accommodations and stuff, and they help them out through certain times of the year. My part is to go out and inspect, make sure they got their housing
Okay.
basically up to code for Department of Labor, and submit all that and make sure that they have a nice place to live.
And it's 6 months, a year. There's a time frame on it, isn't there?
Usually it varies on some of them. Some will get extensions in there, so
Okay.
6 months to 9 months.
Okay. That's cool. And veterans, I'm going to bring it up now because it's cool. Can you talk a little bit about the Home Base Iowa program and how that's kind of coming back?
Yeah, the Home Base Iowa program is, it's pretty much the main job is to support the community and create an environment that'll be supportive and attractive to veterans that are coming in. And you mentioned earlier with the, with the housing prices and everything in this area, this is a prime area to come to because of the cost of living. And Home Base Iowa actually goes outside of the state on occasion and goes to like military bases, things like that, different functions, different conventions. And Home Base Iowa is the only state the state of Iowa created the Home Base Iowa program in 2014. And it's the only one of its kind in the country. To where we actually go out and try to attract veterans into our communities. And every community has, not every community is a Home Base Iowa community yet, but Fort Dodge is, Webster County is. And a lot of times, even my wife will say, when I first got here and I don't work for the Home Base Iowa part of it. I work with the same group that's for veterans for the state of Iowa. But when you're driving down the road, you see these signs on the side of the road. It says Home Base Iowa Community.
Yep.
She didn't know what that was. And I didn't know what it was when I moved here and then found out. And really what it is, it's just incentives to try to bring veterans into the area. And Fort Dodge it kind of went dormant for a while.
Yep,
it started in 2014 and everybody was really excited about it for a while. And then it kind of went on a back burner.
Lacklustered out a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, when I moved here in 2018, I didn't know anything about it, and but as time went on, I learned more, and I found out the benefits. There's I got a few of the benefits here. There's for just general Home Base Iowa in the state of Iowa, you got a 5-year 100% tax abatement and that's actually from the city of Fort Dodge. And that's on the first $75,000 of that new home for a veteran coming in. So
that saves a lot of money.
Saves a lot of money. You can get through the Iowa Central Community College, Iowa resident tuition. So a veteran coming in, even from another state, can get in-state tuition.
Okay.
And there's a whole bunch of different restaurant and hotel discounts and things like that are available. And they're all on the it's being taken over and really championed by Jefferson Fossbender.
Oh yeah.
At the Greater Fort Dodge Growth Alliance.
Okay.
And he's got he's done a lot of work on this over the last year, and it's just kind of rolling out over the last 2 months. Okay. And what you're going to see is a lot of businesses in the area are going to be Home Base Iowa businesses. They're signing up to do that. They go through a course on how to hire veterans, what to look for in and how to attract veterans to that employment. And so he's been working a lot on that with our local VA rep Dan Lewandowski. He's involved as well, and I've done some stuff with it, but it's a great program, and it's just kind of getting started again, and I think it's going to do really well. You're going to see in some of these businesses, they're putting up signs that are home base Iowa, but they're also going to have a QR code on there that'll bring you straight to the website. That'll show you all the different things that are available for veterans.
And we can put that link up in the comments too, so people
Okay.
can see it and see, kind of how that works. And
Yeah.
I don't know, where'd you ETS from?
I came, me personally, I didn't. I got out in '97.
Yeah, I got out in 98. Okay. So,
Okay.
Chris, when did you get out?
Well, officially retired after I joined the National Guard. I came off of Fort Riley, then
Okay.
to Iowa National Guard. And
I
retired in
ETS from
2012.
Germany. So coming over here in 1998 in Germany, where a phone call was, $5 to try to call and find a job. It's like I had 30 days of leave, and I'm like, health insurance and pay runs out in 30 days. I got to get a job, and I think I had 4 part-time jobs in the first 2 weeks just because I got to support a family. And it was scary getting out, back in the day. So home base Iowa and getting to some of these veterans to say, let's set up a plan. And with the internet and Zoom and all that, they can actually interview from Europe or wherever they happen to
Absolutely.
be. And I got out with 30 days, like, I got to get this done.
That goes pretty quick if you don't think about it.
Everybody wants to get home and hang out. I got home and applied for jobs.
Yeah, well,
I was at my old jobs and, trying to get anything I could.
Yeah, I came out of Fort Polk. Well, and now I think it's called Fort Johnson down in Louisiana.
I think they changed it back to Fort Polk.
Did they change it back? I don't know. It's going back and
It's
forth.
something in Louisiana.
I still call it Fort Polk because that's what it was when I was there.
Somewhere
But
in Louisiana.
but that was I really wanted to get out of Fort Polk.
Oh,
at the time. I'm from Minnesota, so being down in Louisiana, it was a big culture shift for me.
If
So
you've been to Germany, it was a bomb holder, so nobody wanted to be in
I
bomb
lived
holder.
in Bad Kreuznach, so not
Oh,
too
yeah,
far
you
from
know.
it. So
Maybe
There you
about the
go.
same time.
exactly.
That's funny. What are some of the biggest employment needs you see in the Fort Dodge area?
you got, I mean, there's the general ones that everybody kind of knows about, and these are things. I go to a lot of events in the area at schools, and especially I've recently been doing a lot with some of the mental health awareness events. But you get a lot of when you go to the high schools and stuff, you talk to the kids, and when I talk to them, I tell them there's really 4 areas that are kind of critical, and I always put a plug in for the military. So that's the first one. The military isn't what I was in 89 to 97, so there were opportunities then, but now. It's like there are so many opportunities if you go into the military.
Talk to Sergeant Kindler. It was amazing the stuff he talked about.
Yeah. I mean, and I won't repeat that stuff, but there's just some great opportunities going through the military. And then beyond that, if they're interested in either any medical field, when you're talking, and I'm not just talking about nurses, I'm talking about rad techs and
lab techs,
technician, any of that stuff. They need education, medical, and then truck driving. Truck driving is still a very popular, is still a very needed job that's out there, and so getting a CDL.
Trucking companies right here in Fort Dodge.
Yeah,
that's one of the MOSs I could transfer over pretty easily. So
yeah.
Decker has 700 and some trucks. Keim has 400 and some, and somebody's got to get behind the wheel of those and take them somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah, and so those are the primary areas. Fort Dodge is also growing. I mean, we've had a lot of you can see we've had a lot of construction. We've had that kind of thing. The new area, the mall area, that's reinvigorated now. Mm-hmm. That's created a lot of jobs, and it's only continuing to grow. So there's a lot of opportunities in Fort Dodge. I go through the job listings every day looking for jobs for the veterans that I work with, and I can tell you that there's jobs out there. There's jobs out there. It's just. And that's our job, is to get them connected.
And jobs that pay a living wage.
Absolutely.
Because I know when I got out of the Army, I told you, I worked at Radio Shack, I did security guard work, I can't remember the other ones, but it was 4 part-time jobs. I think I delivered pizzas. I mean, it was whatever I could find to do stuff, and I was in there, and I can't remember the guy's name, Ray?
Okay.
I can't remember. But
We've only been there a couple
he was
years.
a veteran
so-
also.
Sure.
And he goes, Todd, you need a living wage job. You don't need these 4 part-time jobs. You need something that's going to get. He got me on at USG. And, I was stacking sheetrock
Outstanding.
for 6 months before I started at the prison. But I didn't get it, because I got out of the Army. I'm going to do whatever I got to do. And, once you put your nose down and start doing stuff, he's like, Todd, quit it. Get a real job.
And even trying to get into a trades job nowadays, that's a big thing to get
plumber,
into.
electrician, HVAC.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, all those are needed, and even what you just talked about, USG, those type of production jobs, they're out there, they're open. I just placed a veteran here in town at Georgia Pacific recently, and those jobs are posted, and
They pay well.
They pay well,
Absolutely.
and the big thing is, that's what we do. And I guess I should have. People talk about IowaWORKS and they call us the unemployment office.
Yeah.
Okay. And
I remember that's what it was called.
We're the reemployment.
Yeah.
We're the reemployment office.
We
Reemployment, I like
prefer
that.
we prefer to be called the employment office or the reemployment office, because really we've got it's not just me and Chris. We've got multiple career planners there that can sit down with pretty much anybody of any age, and talk to them about, hey, what do you want to do, and how can we get you there?
Yep.
We had our Title I people who are incredible. They've got an incredible program. The state of Iowa really supports our youth. When you're talking about like 16 to 24-year-olds, we've got two excellent career planners there in the office who that's what they do. They talk to kids coming out of high school and say, hey, what do you want to do? And a lot of kids will say, well, I don't know. Well, they'll go through and they'll go through the the state of Iowa pulls in all kinds of information about job listings and they forecast out. Mm-hmm. So they forecast out like 5 years from now, how much is a plumber going to be making? Okay. Mm-hmm. So, and that, even those type of things, nursing, any of that stuff, they go through it with them, and in the high demand jobs, they'll try to get them anything they can get as far as funding and education and certifications. So we've got some excellent people there that will help in any way they can.
That's cool.
And we got a couple that our career planners also work with our anybody that's got like a background.
Oh, yeah.
They specifically work with them, and they try to help them, overcome their barriers that they have with that. And obviously there's a barrier, but they try to work through that with them to try to get them into a position to where they can start have a job, making money, get out on their own.
My last real job was a counselor at the prison, so I worked with those guys a lot, and trying to, what do you want to do? What do you want to do next? And there's some huge barriers.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, I'm a felon.
No, I know it can be tough, and those are also the things that we talk to and that we can work with people on, is how to explain that. Mm-hmm. How to, I've had several veterans, unfortunately, who've been, involved in the law, and going through with them and talking them through all the things that they've done to better themselves, to correct whatever that action might have been, and then be able to vocalize that during an interview and talk to an employer. It's important. It's because if you just go in and we call them mock interviews, or sometimes it's just counseling. Yeah, it's just like you said. Yeah, it's just talking to them and getting them to understand that they have done something. They have done things. Going through drug rehab, going through these type of things, and being able to vocalize that during an interview is key.
Taking responsibility and then explaining this is what I've done.
And the biggest thing is getting their trust.
To
trust you that we're here to help you, make sure that we want to make sure you're going in the right direction and stuff.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And just caring.
And most people are pretty forgiving, and especially in our area.
Oh, they are.
Yep.
Oh, we have a lot of businesses in this area that are open to that, and and I haven't heard any negative feedback. So it's been a very good. We've had, the community is just a very good community for, like you said, forgiveness and for moving on and building, and that's what we want to do, and that's what we want to help our businesses, in any way that we can. We have what we call her name is Teresa Bullock, and she's our business engagement consultant. Her only job is to go out and talk to businesses and find out what they need.
Right. So if you are an employer and you're coming in, how does that work? You talk to Teresa and she puts a listing together, or what's that process?
Yeah, they're all on.
Like?
Employers can get onto our IowaWORKS site, and they can post their jobs right there. Those are the jobs that for what it's worth, that's the best place to post them, because who do you got? We're the unemployment office. So
right. The reemployment office.
So we're looking to reemploy these people. So you got a good cachet of people that are going to be looking at those jobs every day. We have people in our offices, and it's unfortunate, but also for those businesses, it's fortunate that we're having them come in and look at the different jobs every day that are available in the area, and we help them in. We have people that will help put in applications. I've helped a lot of veterans that actually do the applications.
Okay.
Up until about a year ago, April of last year, I work on a federal grant. So it's called the Jobs for Veterans something, but it's a federal program through the Department of Labor. And how I do it is, up until about a year ago, I could only work with people who had what Chris called earlier significant barriers to employment. Now it's pretty much opened up to anybody. Nice. But up until then, I worked with a lot of Vietnam War veterans, and trying to get these guys to put in every application now is online.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Some of these guys, they just don't. I've worked with people from the age of 21 up to 94.
Can't even hand parts out at Walmart without going online. And
that's a big barrier for a lot of people. How to even use a computer, use the phone, stuff like that. We just have a new program starting in there. Shayna deals with that, with getting people to learn how to use computers and devices so that they become more, employable and stuff like that. So they know how to use computers and stuff.
Can they come in there and actually do their resume?
Absolutely.
There?
They can come in there. We'll help them with the resume. We prefer them to do some of the work on their own, so we don't have a blank slate to start with, but we'll work with them to kind of, we'll take the ONET online basically, and we'll help them build their, kind of beef it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Put it in more practical terms for when you're actually looking for, what I did in this job.
Yeah.
So
you might not want to tell them that in this piece of paper.
Let's
tell them that when you're a month in.
If you worked in food service or something like that, I was a hard worker. Well, that doesn't tell you what you did. What did you do? You look at the ONET and it gives you, it could go anywhere from 5 to, it could have 25 different bullets in there. Did you do this? Does this make sense to you? We'll pick the best 5 of those out of there, and we'll kind of plug them in there to make sure that, this does make sense for you, so that you can explain exactly what you did there.
I worked in food service. I was a hard worker. It's a lot different than I worked in food service, and I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. Whether I know how to count change.
Just last night I was over in Rockwell City at an event, and I met a woman who, she wasn't a veteran, but I talked to her anyways about different job opportunities and people she could contact at IowaWORKS. And she told me, well, I've only been a homemaker she's been home for the last 20 years. And I said, well, you've done a lot of things actually. You are a logistics coordinator because you make sure you have
everybody's where they're supposed to be.
Everybody's where you do your budget, you do these type of things. So there's a lot of things that you can put out there that, and she's only looking for part-time. So it's just building that resume and getting it out there to employers to take a look at it. So, and
you really
that's a dream employee for a lot of people.
It really, actually, it could be because
single family income homes, two parents, only one of them works. The budgeting in that has to be absolutely impeccable because you only have half the income to work with. Yeah. And I know a couple of people that are stay-home moms, and I'm like, there's a lot of stuff they go without because the budget just doesn't allow them to do stuff. And it's kind of cool how, prioritizing your kids or prioritizing family for that long and then reaching out and saying, okay, I've done this for the last 20 years. The kids are now in high school or whatever, and it's time for me to do something else. That's a big job.
I told her I grew up in a family. We had 16 kids in the family. And my mom obviously never worked outside of the home, but
No, she worked hard inside the home.
worked hard inside the home. I said, I know what mothers do, and there's a lot of stuff that can be put onto a resume. And again, a resume, we talk to people. I actually do a workshop for the state of Iowa I assist on one for resumes, and I do one on interviewing myself. But one of the big things is a resume has one job only. People want, I used to, when I was younger, I would put things on there. At the end, I would put like, I volunteered at, this place or the other. I enjoy golfing. I enjoy
Just to fill up the page.
Employers don't want to know any of that. Not anymore. It's changed. And it has one job. And
We don't want you to golf.
Yeah. Well, we don't we don't want you to golf. It's just, they don't want it. They don't care.
They don't care.
That resume has one job, and that's to get you an interview.
Yep.
And so if we can, that's what we push for. Obviously, with the advent of AI, there's been changes. AI will help you write a resume in 2 minutes. The only problem is it's not specific in most cases, and you're going to have to go
put
through
the specifics in it.
You have to put the specifics in, so you still have to do the work, but. Actually, AI is not a bad way to go if you're looking to create a resume. It's just you're going to have to massage it a lot, and that's where we come in. That's where our staff comes in.
We were talking about a grant process at one of I volunteer on the Blandon board, and we were talking about grant processes on that. And he says, there's just no program out that will write the whole thing for you, do all this. And I'm like, so AI is going to write the grant, and then AI is going to decide who gets the grant. So why are we even doing this? Why don't they just call us and tell us we got the grant, leave all the AI out of the middle of it?
Just put your name in, and here you go.
So, the resumes are going to be the same thing. If you get 100 resumes for a job, I'm going to scan in, hey, tell me which ones I should interview.
Yeah. Well, and AI just took over for a small part of what HR managers are doing, and it's only for the bigger companies. A lot of the companies in this area, you're still going to have people looking at your resume.
Yep.
But some of the bigger companies, they go straight to their corporate, and then they get weeded out, and that's essentially the same function that HR has done in the past, and it's but it's still whoever's going to. I've not yet seen AI hire anybody.
No,
it's always been a hiring manager. So eventually that resume is going to get in front of a person, and they're going to be the one to call you for the interview. Yep. So there's that.
Yeah.
So, and we try to keep up with all those different trends that are going on in the industry. So,
and I got another off-topic question, but social media. Do you have the conversation with these guys to say, okay, go back in your social media and take all the stupid stuff out? Because the first thing that employer is going to do, right, wrong, and different, is search your Facebook page.
Who is this person?
And do you have that conversation to say, take all the political crap off, take all the, the off memes, and just go through and make it all the positive stuff?
Yeah, you definitely got to do that, because that's brought up, because it's like this is good, and I should be able to get this. Like, well, let's take it one step further. If I Google your name, what am I going to find?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And
it's like you like the Iowa Hawkeyes way too much. I can't deal with this guy. Just
you're a Nebraska fan,
Hawkeyes. So nobody's perfect. Iowa State's always there. So.
Well, I tell you, I was when I got out of the military, I went into building materials manufacturing, and I've worked in mills that have made just about every part of a house that you can think of, except the wood. So roofing, siding, soffits, drywall. I've done all that stuff, and I've worked in there creating those. And I rose up to be a plant manager, and I was the hiring person. I hired everything from janitors up to engineers. And I will tell you, the first thing I looked at, because of my background, was, okay, I'd get a stack from my HR manager. These people are all qualified. Well, I'd go for the first thing I'd look for is military.
Yep. Yeah. Can't help it.
So, and that's one of the big things that I talk to veterans about. I've had, in the 2.5 years that I've been here, I've had multiple veterans come in, and I look at their resume and it doesn't say anything about their military background. It's like, it's not that they're ashamed. It's just they don't think it matters.
Right.
It does matter.
It's big.
Yeah, because
this is something you did for 4 years or 10 years or however long. That's pertinent to anything.
Well, and anybody, and the state of Iowa is great with veterans. I mean, they just are. We, for what it's worth, I've lived in 11 different states I've been married 35 years. We've lived in 11 different states. And I will tell you, Iowa is the most veteran-friendly state that I've ever lived in.
That's cool.
And it's just people love veterans here, and rightfully so. These are and when you get a veteran, you're getting somebody who has discipline. You're at least has that history of discipline that they know that they're going to be able. You can rely on that.
Yep.
So
You're basically knowing you're getting a commitment from somebody with that background. And everything.
exactly.
I have a really good friend. His name's Todd Nichols. He was one of the horse soldiers. Second Desert Storm, one of the first in on horseback. There's actually a movie about
Yep.
it.
Okay.
And he was here for an event, and I pick him up, or he walks out of the RV because they had just got here. It's like 4 p.m, and he stands there and he looks, and there's a flag there, and there's a flag there, and there's a flag there, and he goes, I already love this town. The amount of flags I can see walking off the bus,
Yeah.
and the people just support you, support the flag. Yeah. It's an amazing state for all that stuff. But I always was impressed when Todd got off the bus and said, This is the coolest place I think I've ever been. I love this town already.
And that's driving across, you travel through Iowa, you see a lot of that. It's all over the place. And
Yep.
which, being a veteran coming to some place that sees that, so, hey.
And it gets
I belong
expensive as
here.
windy as it is, replacing those flags.
It does. It does, actually. So,
I guess it'd be a booming flag business.
Yes, it would be.
That's half the reason. We remember where the hotel is now. We had those flags set up with all the branches of the military when we built Fort Frenzy. Yeah. And every other month, my wife's like, you're really buying another set of flags? Because it was like $300 every time you bought flags for all the branches. And I'm like, oh, this is dumb. So when they built the hotel there, I'm like, we're keeping one. And I'm going to have a stack of flags. I'm going to buy them by the case. American. I think we're down to 1 or 2 right now, so I'm going to have to buy more from America.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So do you guys partner with schools and colleges and help with young students coming out at all?
Well, we do have a couple that go out to, a couple of our career planners that go out to schools.
Okay.
And what they do is they actually go through like the interviewing. They talk about the interviewing process. They have a skit they actually put on, and I haven't personally seen the skit. Been a
I
while
think
since-
George has.
I have.
And
It's
from what I hear, it's pretty good. So,
it's-
but they do a great job on that, and they get kids. They actually get kids engaged in it and help them, understand. Yes, this is the right way. This is the wrong way. This is what you want to do. Don't just walk into some place and I know it all, and here it is. I'm going to get this job.
Yep.
Got to kind of humble yourself back a little bit and be like, hey, what do I need to do to improve myself? So when I go walk into this interview, what am I going to be able to do? And, I just want to be honest with them. And
Have you seen those like interviews on social media? A baby boomer giving an interview to like a Gen Z.
I have not
like-
seen those.
I've
yet.
seen-
They're like,
I've seen
so
some of
when's
those.
the next break? They're like, I can work from home, right? I can do this. I don't know. They're just hilarious.
There's that. Yeah, we do even with there's a huge service community here in Fort Dodge, HHS, and we have a lot of different services. More than I had ever known about before I started this, and you can go to any of these events. There's a lot of them that are published, but at the schools this last year, there's events. Can't remember the basketball one, which is called Slam the Stigma, which is mental health.
Yep.
And I went to 6 of them this last year at different high schools in the area because I cover 6 different counties.
Okay.
So I've been to like Pocahontas and Manson and obviously Fort Dodge. I've been to St. Ed's. You talk about St. Ed's. All these places they engage with us, but and we are able to go there and talk about what we do. And a lot of times I'm talking to the parents, and hopefully I'm running into a veteran, a few veterans that I talk with, and you never know. I go to any event that I can go to because you never know where you're going to meet that veteran that needs help. So, but the schools also work really closely with the business engagement consultant that I talked about earlier, Teresa Bullock. They work with her on different events that they're having, job fairs. We had a job fair at the high school here last year. or was it earlier this year? I think it was last year. But, we go to those events and we talk to the kids and we get our Title I people in there, and that's where they really, I recommend that every high school graduate, as soon as they have their diploma in hand, and I say this at every event that I go to when I'm talking to both high schoolers and parents, as soon as they have that diploma in their hands, their first stop should be our offices. Because if they don't know what they want to do, we have career planners there that can help them. If they do know what they want to do, we have career planners that can help them figure out how to pay for it.
Even if it's a 4-year degree, if there's something that they want to be an accountant, okay, perfect. Let's talk about going to Iowa Central for a couple of years or going straight to Iowa State or
because you don't have to just hop in and go to Arizona State for 4 years and you don't know what you want to be yet.
There might be programs out there that we can
place
get them directed into as well to help them out with that. So
we have apprenticeships.
I think,
We have apprenticeships that are available. I think we just placed a welding apprenticeship,
Nice.
and that that person is gonna, while they're going to school, they're gonna get on the job training, and that's good for both the business and the state of Iowa helps pay for part of that salary for that person. So the business is getting something out of it. The student is obviously getting something out of it. They're getting experience and education.
Yep.
And it just helps the community.
Well, and you look at a pro and con for a young kid walking in there just to ask for those services. There's no cons.
No.
Exactly.
I mean, even if you don't pursue that, at least you can kind of like, through talking, it's like, oh, well, maybe I would be a good plumber, and maybe that would be a good thing.
No.
If it just
great thing
gets
about
it
a plumber.
thinking.
Yeah,
We have-
you get to work full time while you're getting your license being a plumber and electrician. So
absolutely.
We have a guy there. His name is John, and his job. It's similar a little bit what Chris does as far as working with the migrant workers, and he does a lot of that. But also part of that program, the state of Iowa has a program for farm workers, and it's not foreign farm workers. It's a 18-year-old kid that grew up on a farm.
Yeah.
And you can go in there and talk to John, and he's got programs that can help further that education, find them a higher paying job, those type of things. There's a lot of different programs out there.
That's cool. And you have two things coming up, and this is being recorded early, so this is being released June 5th. You have what's going on today?
Well, June 5th, down in Rockwell City, one of our career planners, Brian Pipel, has organized a pretty unique job fair, if you will. Okay. What it is at 5 p.m. on June 5th at the library, if job seekers show up, bring a bunch of your resumes. If you don't have hopefully you get a resume by then. And then you come there to the library, and there's like 16 businesses in the area that are going to open their doors for that evening, and they're going to have their hiring manager there. They're looking for people.
Oh, yeah.
So
16 companies
16 companies.
at the library.
Yeah. Well, they're not going to be at the library. What happens is we gather at the library, we hand them a sheet of all the different businesses that are looking for people, so they don't have to go to every business.
Yep.
But if they go out and visit 3 of them and drop off their resumes, and these are people who are hiring.
Yep.
It's then they can come back, bring the sheet of paper back, signed. As long as they have 3 places signed, they're open for some door prizes, so they can win prizes just for doing that.
Okay.
And hopefully the biggest prize is that they get a job.
Yeah.
And
Todd's looking for another job.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm unemployable, so I'm going to need some real help.
well, you're a veteran. I can help you.
Every time I talk to Todd, he's like, "Oh, you know what we could do? We just need to buy a tractor and we could run that business."
There's jobs.
I just need
out
to
there,
find
brother.
people, so I'm going to call you guys.
There are jobs out there.
Oh, that's funny. And the other thing you talked about was a mobile unit. What is a mobile unit?
Well, our mobile unit is kind of like the IowaWORKS office we have, but on wheels, basically.
Okay.
It's a small type RV type vehicle. It's got, I can't remember, is it like 10 computers?
Yeah, I think it's like 10 to 12 computers.
Yeah, and then there's a big screen on the outside where we could put workshops on.
Okay.
We could help, just like in the office, we can help you, work on your resume, set up your IowaWORKS accounts. We can get you, looking for jobs in there. We can set up the virtual recruiter for you too, which is part of the job search part. We can actually, so if you wanted to be a carpenter, we could type that in there in the area you want it and build a virtual recruiter so you get notified of like when those job positions open up. So you can set it daily,
neat.
weekly, monthly, however you want to set it, to receive notifications of new positions opening up. Obviously, we can help you with the unemployment issues as well. We can kind of talk through that stuff and get you through that as well. So,
And I'm sure that's for smaller communities where transportation to the actual office is tough. So take it to Rockwell City, Pocahontas.
right, we're looking at getting them out in our area quite a bit. Tomorrow, actually, we're going to have it out in front of they call it the Halfway House, 311 First Avenue North or South. Sorry, it's First Avenue South. It'll be there from 9 to 3 o'clock, but
and this podcast won't be out before then. But
we got it each month. We got it coming there. So
one thing that it is coming up for, and this we can advertise on the 27th of June, up in Dakota City. It's actually going to start out there. They got the radio station up there has a thing for called Shag the Drag. I don't know if you've heard of this.
We used to do it here.
Okay.
Todd used to. I'm not old enough.
Well,
but I've heard about it.
Yeah, the guy who owns the radio station, his name's Pat Kohler, and he's me and him actually went to high school together.
I like Pat. He's a really nice guy.
Yeah, up in Minnesota. So
really?
We hadn't seen each other for 20 some years. They host a Shag the Dragon, and I talked to him, and it just so happens that same evening, June 27th, the veterans. The American Legion up in Dakota City is having a car show.
Okay.
So I went to my boss and I said, "What about bringing up the bus? We call it the bus, but it's a really nice vehicle to have with everything that Chris talked about." And it's going to be in the Shag the Drag, and then it's going to be in the car show.
So only you would think of, let's put the bus in a car show. We could put the Kesterson truck in it too.
Well, it's and the state of Iowa really wants to advertise this, but it is a great asset to have. And primarily and unfortunately, it's there for like when some of the major businesses may be closed down.
Yeah.
It rather than having to have all those people go to the local, what we call American Job Center, which is what we call IowaWORKS here in town. Rather than having to go there, we can bring that to them, so they can.
Like you said, put it in front of the halfway house, or taking it places downtown, or some of these other communities where if transportation's an issue,
exactly,
they can just walk across the street and use it.
We can hit another group of people that normally wouldn't get to us, so we can help them out, and so.
Yep.
Unfortunately, like you said, this is going to come out for a while, but we do have that coming up a couple more times, 2 more months. We're going to have it out there in June and July. Check it out on our Facebook page for that. So
yeah, that's awesome. So you talked about Iowa forecasts jobs out 5 years. Are there some things coming up, or new jobs, or new things that they're trying to push people towards that may? We talk about AI; it's changed everything so much. Are there some other stuff that AI is creating, or things that change over the next 3 to 5 years? Yeah,
I mean, I talked about them earlier. There's the AI can only do so much, and it's not advanced enough, and even robotics and those type of things. I've worked in facilities where we've had robotics, and it's great to have. And some facilities are doing that more and more. But you got your general jobs that just are gonna be in demand. And what happens with the trucking industry? Obviously, that's with self-driving trucks that's being tested out, and it's probably coming. I don't know when. It's not here yet.
We do talk about that. I think that's going to be a slow transition anyways, because as it starts, you're still going to have somebody in the steering wheel.
Yeah.
It's going to be another 10, 15, 20 years before they actually trust these trucks to go out by themselves. And
even if they are, I can't imagine the way it's really going to affect the trucking industry, but I can tell you from being in facilities that get deliveries or ship out on trucks, I don't trust AI to back up to my gate when I have people around, and so we're still going to need that driver to coordinate.
And even if it does the long hauls, the locals are still going to need trucks moved around, and that's going to be something and it's going to take 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
And I talk to my kids about this, but my great grandkids probably won't know how to drive a car. And I think about that. If they do want to drive, they're going to have to go to a track and drive a car. You know, it's kind of weird to think. It's like kind of thrashing bee.
It's crazy.
They used to do all this stuff, the farms, and now, it's just like the tractor drives itself.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to the jobs, like I said before, education, a hospital, anything to do with medical field, and truck driving right now are the big ones. There's obviously there's a huge call, but these are specialized. When you're talking about like being an electrician, we need electricians. This not just Fort Dodge, but the country needs electricians. We need plumbers. We need all those different service.
I mean, I feel like the plumbers in Fort Dodge are all getting older. I mean, a lot of them that I know, that come to my house and stuff, they're all looking like they're about at retirement.
I would like to retire. I'd like to sell,
but minute.
Yeah, there's that. I mean, it's there's definite opportunities out there, and all of that stuff is something that people can come into our offices and find out about. I talked to somebody last night, and they said they want to be an author. Well, that's not really something. I can't necessarily.
Do you want me to help you with the characters? Sally has dark short hair.
So I can't really speak to that. But when you're talking about any type of what I would consider like a normal type of position, we can help with just about anything.
Yep,
so,
that's awesome.
That is awesome.
So how do people get a hold of you?
The best way is to go on to our website at www.workforce.iowa.gov.
Okay.
And you can get in there and you can sign up you build your profile. There's a lot of things you can do in there. You can put in your resume and make it available to everybody to look at. And employers can go in there and say you've got experience with restaurant serving, something like that. You put that in there as one of your skills. An employer can go and see every day, has anybody signed up who has these skills? And it's right there for them. And they might even just call you without you applying.
Right.
Okay. If you're looking for that. And plus you can put your resume in there. Plus you can put any different skill sets that you have. And obviously we have a job search function in there. You can set up job alerts that will if I went in there and I wanted to be in production again, I wanted to go be a production manager again, I could put in there production manager. And anytime a job that came up with that criteria, it would automatically send an email to my phone. And I could look at it and say, oh yeah, I might want to apply for that. So I could go in and apply for that. So
someone might look at that and think, gosh, those are some really crazy good services. Does it cost them anything to do any of that?
Absolutely not.
Nothing. State of Iowa does all this.
Yep.
State of Iowa, we are, I can't speak, I haven't worked for another state, obviously, but at the same time, and actually we're updating that site now. That in the next month or two, it's going to be updated because it's getting fairly old and it's a little bit cumbersome at times. But we're streamlining it, we're making it new, but it's going to stay the same website, that kind of thing. It's just it's going to be upgraded, and all free. All our services. Everybody that comes in, whether it's to talk to Chris or talk to one of our other career planners or talk to me, everything's free.
That's cool.
You know what I've gotten out of this is how great Iowa is.
Yeah.
This whole thing, like Iowa
puts a lot of, and I think that speaks to our unemployment rate. I mean, what is it, 3% unemployment rate?
Something right around
if
there.
If you want a job, and that brings up another dumb question. Average guy comes in, let's say veteran, has 4 years service, let's just say infantry, whatever, is not overestimating his what he can do, what he can't do. Mm-hmm. How long would it take somebody like that to find a living wage job in Fort Dodge?
It varies. I will tell you, on average, with my veterans, I'm talking maybe 2 months.
Okay.
That and it's the hiring process that
Right,
takes
it
the
just takes
longest.
time.
It just does.
And
And
it all depends on that company and where
Yeah.
they're at in their process
But-
of it. So,
But I can give you, me and Chris on the way over here, we were talking about, we mentioned the word success stories, and we like success stories. Chris is actually one of my success stories. He came in as a veteran, and it was shortly, I think I'd been working there maybe 6 months. Okay. And me and him sat down, we went over his resume. I'm not going to take all the credit because he did work, the person whose job he ended up taking was leaving, and she wanted him in that job because I had introduced them, and they ended up working together quite a bit. And me and Chris went through some mock interviews and things like that, and he ended up getting this job.
That's cool.
But like when I said that, and anybody who comes in the door, the first question we ask them is, are you a veteran or the spouse of a veteran? Yep. Because I can also work with spouses of 100% disabled veterans.
Okay.
And so that question is asked to them, and then whether they're a veteran or not, they're asked, what do you need? You're looking for a job. Okay, let's get your resume set. Let's do all this. So we got career planners to go through that. We have somebody on the floor at all times.
and when you walk in, it might seem a little cumbersome when you come in. It's like, it's like drinking from a fire hose, basically. We're going to give you a lot of information, but we're there to help you. You got questions through it, we're going to help you get through it. And, we're working with you, so it's on your time. We're not going to sit there and not say we're not going to help you. It's like, okay, I'm going to guide you through this part. You got questions after this? If you can figure this out, we'll move on. You got questions, just keep asking us. Every one of us that work up front will help you out in every possible way we can to make sure that, one, this is a smooth transition for you. We know it's a stressful time. If you've lost your job or you're looking for a job, or, even if you're looking to change your job, people, we help them people too. Like if, like say if I wanted to look for a different job, I come in there and like, hey, I want to, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to try this. Okay, well, let's start working on your resume. How are we going to alter or not alter it, but tweak your resume a little bit so it can fit this type of system. And
that's what I was
then
thinking
go in
in my
there.
head, is like, you have to have a lot of empathy, because I bet you have a lot of people that are frustrated. A, they just can't find something, or
Scared.
B,
Yep.
what if like somebody with like a very specific thing, like a welder, gets fired,
Yeah.
and then they're like, oh my gosh, like
This is all I've done, and-
that's what I know, that's what I'm good at, but I maybe have a bad attitude today, and I got fired, and
Yeah.
that's what I want to do, but there's only so many out there,
that was like me
Well,
when
actually,
I,
welder take about 8 seconds to find another
that was
job.
like me.
Okay, well, I was just making
that was like me when I came in there my first time, and I'm like, okay, I've got to reinvent myself. So
Yeah.
how am I going to do this? I went from law enforcement. Now I'm still helping people.
Right.
Yeah.
And, which is a good feeling. I'm still helping people. It's just, all right, so how am I going to do this? And
just helping people in a
George
different
and
way.
Rochelle helped me out greatly in that, and it was great. So,
Yeah.
a good experience.
That is great.
But getting back to your question, yeah, it varies. But I've got a couple veterans who they are employed, but they've been looking for something else. And just because they're, again, getting a little older, they don't think that they're going to be able to continue this long term to retirement. So I've been working with these guys for a couple of years.
Just trying to find the
But,
perfect
yeah,
transition.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're not in any hurry. Now, veterans who are in, essentially it's when the first experience that I had with IowaWORKS is when I got fired, and I went in to collect unemployment. And you're right, it's a bad feeling when you're going into that office. But I met with the veteran career planner and started working with him, and then eventually he quit, and I got his job. so
That works.
You guys got something in common.
yeah. So in the meantime, I worked at the hospital here in town as a cook, and then I worked for Schwann's. I was a Schwann's delivery driver.
nice.
Fun.
Yeah, kind of a childhood dream there.
That's going to
but-
date
Yeah.
you here soon, too.
because they don't exist anymore.
I love those little mini pizzas.
Oh, they were good, but they were.
Yeah.
I love the chicken wings. The chicken wings are the best to me. But
Well, we appreciate you guys taking time today. This has been super interesting. And like before we started, I said, I don't know a whole lot about what you guys do, so there's going to be some dumb questions. So hopefully we educated everybody about what you do. And thank you for doing what you do. It's
More than happy to
Thank you
come
for
here.
your help.
yeah.
And currently, we're located right on the ICCC campus, but we will be moving. We just don't know where yet.
Okay.
Where our what do you call it? Apparently, they're going to kick us out at the end of July. And I say because our term is up there, so we're going to be relocating somewhere here in Fort Dodge.
I need a few more mobile units.
and we'll let everybody know. Yeah, we could. We'll see. We might have to do that. But.
Be on the go.
That's right. Thank you, guys.
Yep.
All right,
Thank you.
That's a wrap at today's episode of Talk Fort Dodge.
Stay connected with us on social media and join us next time as we continue exploring Fort Dodge's stories through the lens of two lifelong Dodgers. I'm Jeremiahjcondon.
And I'm Todd McCubbin, and this is Talk Fort Dodge.
This podcast is produced by Spin Market and Digital. Located in Fort Dodge, Iowa, Spin Market's highly skilled team can help you increase your market by updating your website, improving SEO, designing advertisements, and producing podcasts that will grab the attention of your market. Contact Spin Market today for all your digital marketing needs at digitalagent@spinmarket.com or call us at 515-302-8026. And to learn more, visit our website at www.spinmarket.com. That's digitalagent@spinmarket.com or 515-302-8026. Or visit our website at www.spinmarket.com.